Susan's dream was lit, floating on Sydney Harbour, naked, juggling flaming kookaburras, until hot flashes jolted her awake. 50 years old, sweating through pajamas, she glared a chipped mug mocking her from nightstand. Menopause wasn't just stealing sleep, it hijacked dignity. Next morning, between dodging beach barbecue invites and side-eyeing herbal tea flyers, a reckless idea took root. What if dandelion weeds choking her garden held answers? Workshops demanded cash she didn't have, but Susan craved control. Susan's dream was lit, floating on Sydney Harbour, naked, weightless, as a dandelion seed, until midnight hot flashes yanked her back to reality. That relentless click-hiss of her ceiling fan became a metronome counting down middle age, each rotation whispering too late, too late. 50, she'd started avoiding beach BBQs, terrified someone would mistake her flushed cheeks for sunburn instead of recognizing inferno beneath her skin. Then came herbal tea workshop in a sun-drenched Surrey Hills loft. A chipped blue mug, same one she'd stolen from her ex-husband's camping gear, sat before her, cradling golden dandelion tea. First sip tasted like bitter earth, but warmth pooled in her bones, quieting internal wildfire. By third sip, she imagined roots unfurling from her toes, anchoring her to something older than panic. Menopause wasn't a cliff edge, she realized. It was a tide, sometimes swallowing her keys, sometimes gifting her with moonlit clarity. She bought a kilo of dandelion roots, brewed them while dancing barefoot on terracotta tiles. That mug became her compass, not a cure, but a reminder that even weeds could be magic if you knew how to steep them right. Susan's dream was lit, floating on Sydney Harbour, naked, sun warming her skin like a hug from an old friend. Then reality barged in with a hot flash so fierce it could have powered a beach barbecue. 50 years old, and her body had become a stranger. Coffee made her jittery, wine brought headaches, and yoga mats gathered dust. One sweltering afternoon, she ducked into a dimly lit apothecary, craving shade more than salvation. A chalkboard advertised Herbal Allies, Menopause Edition, and before she could overthink it, Creator found herself clutching a steaming mug of dandelion tea. A workshop led by Mara, a silver-braided woman who looked like she'd wrestled life into submission. Mara spoke of roots, literal and metaphorical. Dandelions, she explained, weren't just weeds, but resilient survivors, their taproots breaking concrete to bloom. She smirked. She'd spent decades pleasing bosses, school committees, even her ex-husband's nitpicky palate. Now her joints ached, her sleep was fractured, and her patience for small talk had evaporated. But that mug in her hands. Warmth seeped into her fingers, earthy and unpretentious. No miracle cure, just a quiet rebellion against idea that aging meant fading. Over weeks, she traded caffeine for golden brews, journaling side effects with focus of a mad scientist. Night sweats eased. Brain fog lifted like morning mist over Bondi Beach. She even hosted a backyard tea party, serving roasted dandelion root alongside snags on Barbie, laughing when her girlfriends mistook it for some hipster IPA. Then came slip, literally. Carting jars of dried herbs to her first pop-up workshop, Susan tripped on a wonky pavement tile, sending chamomile flowers snowing over pedestrians. Face burning hotter than any hot flash, she braced for pity. Instead, a woman in a power suit knelt to help, murmuring about her own battles with insomnia. By sundown, they'd sketched plans for a community herb garden on a vacant lot, its centerpiece a mosaic mug sculpture, cracked tiles forming something whole. Susan's path wasn't linear. Some days, hormones raged like summer storms, and doubt crept in. But that chipped mug, now a permanent fixture on her windowsill, reminded her, growth often looked like chaos before it looked like change. And Sydney, with its salty winds and relentless sun, was full of women thirsty for something stronger than resignation. Susan's dream was lit, floating on Sydney Harbour, naked, sun-warming skin that hadn't seen daylight since her 30s. But reality. A 50-year-old woman sweating through sheets like a marathon runner, her body staging mutiny. Hot flashes came like uninvited guests at a beach barbecue, relentless and rude. She tried everything: yoga, fancier yoga, whispering affirmations to a houseplant. Nada. Then, browsing a farmer's market between mango stalls and kombucha peddlers, she stumbled upon a herbal tea workshop. A woman with silver braids and dirt under her nails handed her a steaming mug. "Dandelion root," she said. "Nature's middle finger to menopause." Susan scoffed, until that first sip. Earthy, bitter, like swallowing a dare. Back home, she brewed it stubbornly, ignoring skepticism curling in her gut. Who trusted weeds over science? But nights grew cooler, sleep deeper. She caught herself humming while scrubbing mugs, that stubborn ceramic army lined up like witnesses to her quiet rebellion. One morning, she stood on her balcony, mug warming palms, watching dawn streak Bondi Beach pink. No fireworks, no epiphany, just a woman winning small battles, sip by sip. Missteps lingered. She forgot tea once, spent a meeting fanning herself with a takeout menu. Another time, she dumped a batch, convinced it tasted like regret. But she kept digging, curiosity outweighing doubt. Maybe healing wasn't grand gestures, but showing up, even when it felt silly. Even when world expected 50 to mean fading, not foraging through life's dirt for roots that held her steady. By summer's end, Susan hosted her own workshop, passing mugs to women with same wary hope she'd once worn. No magic, just choice. And when another hot flash threatened, she grinned, raising her mug to sun. Let it come. She was done sweating small stuff. Susan's dream was lit, floating on Sydney Harbour, naked, unbothered by hot flashes or judgment. Back on solid ground, reality hit like a Bondi wave. Menopause had her sweating through meetings, snapping baristas, forgetting her own PIN. Then she stumbled upon an old mug a weekend market, chipped but charming, its faded glaze whispering dandelion roots fix what pharmaceuticals can't. Skeptical but desperate, she brewed her first cup. Bitter. Earthy. Oddly comforting. Within weeks, night sweats dulled to a mild simmer. Confidence crept back, enough to sign up for a herbal tea workshop community center, where 20-somethings in linen smocks eyed her like she'd wandered into a kombucha cult. Then came twist. Mid-demonstration, instructor bailed, food poisoning from dodgy prawns a beach barbecue. Panic rippled through room. Susan's hands trembled, but that trusty mug sat heavy in her bag, a talisman. Before doubt could win, she grabbed a mortar, tossed in dandelion roots, and barked, "Menopause warriors, gather round." Laughter fizzed. A silver-haired skeptic in front row, same woman who'd scoffed hippie nonsense earlier, rolled her eyes. Susan ignored her, grinding petals with more gusto than finesse. "This isn't magic," she declared, "just stubbornness in a cup." She poured steaming water, amber liquid swirling. Silence. Then, miracle of miracles, skeptic sipped. Blinked. Bloody hell. I can feel my own knees again. Crowd erupted. Phones flashed. Someone live-streamed Dandelion Queen to a baffled internet. By sundown, Susan's mortar and pestle grip and grin had gone viral. Workshop organizers begged her to teach monthly. That night, clutching her mug as fireworks burst over Darling Harbour, she grinned. No more floating naked in dreams, she was wide awake, finally belonging right where she stood. And as for menopause, still there. Just no longer running show. Susan's dream was lit, floating on Sydney Harbour, naked, unburdened, until hot flashes yanked her back to reality. 50, she refused to let menopause steamroll her spark. One steamy afternoon, clutching a chipped mug stamped with faded sunflowers, she stumbled upon a herbal tea workshop in a glebe alley. Skeptical but desperate, she sipped dandelion brew, its earthy bite surprising her. Weeks later, knees deep in Sander Bondi barbecue, she realized her rage clouds had lifted. No more snapping baristas over lukewarm lattes. Inspired, Susan turned her mug into a mission. She launched pop-up tea circles in community gardens, guiding flushed, sleepless women toward herbal relief. Odd habit. She gifted each attendee a packet of seeds. Grow your own rebellion, she'd wink. By 52, her Dandelion rebellion had roots. Beachside meetups doubled as menopause myth-busting sessions, laughter mixing with salt air. Even her estranged sister mailed a postcard, "You've made weeds sound sexy." Susan's symbol, that sun-faded mug, now sat on her windowsill, cradling a dandelion seedling. Proof that healing could sprout from something as simple as a sip. Steal her swagger. Brew your freedom, one cup a time.